Hi everyone, it's Donna with 3am Grace Designs. We recently posted a poll in our Facebook group. If you're not a member, I will put a link across the video for you. Please join us. We have so much fun in there. Our poll asked what instructional type videos you would like or what mysteries of C2C you would like us to debunk for you. So this is our first attempt at that, and just covering some of the basics on C2C and how to make it more fun and find your joy. C2C isn't as scary as it's perceived out there. It's easy. It's just wrapping your brain around a couple of concepts that we're not used to. And once you can get through that, it's fun. Don't be afraid. Jump in. Any of our projects you can do. It's just one pixel at a time, and we're here to help. Michaeline and I are always there answering questions. We're very involved in the group and try to help you out as much as we can. So sit back and let's learn together. Let's talk about charts. Everybody's afraid of charts. They're not scary though. Look how pretty it is. I love a fresh chart with no marks on it. Let's take the mystery out. Let's take the monster out of the beast. So I think part of what makes this difficult is that we were taught to read, and we read from left to right. And corner to corner and crochet throws all of that out the window. So all we have to do is reprogram our car, instead of driving from the left to the right side of the road, to drive diagonal. So we start at a corner. It doesn't matter what corner we start at, your results will turn out the same. You can start at this corner, and as long as you follow your rows in order, you're going to be perfectly fine. You can start up here, you can start over here. Another question I get is, does it matter if I'm left-handed? No, I'm a lefty too. Lefties rule. And your project, as long as you follow the rows in order, is going to turn out just as beautiful as if you were right-handed. So I like to look at each little square or cluster as a pixel. And you take all those individual pixels and combine them, and they create a big picture. In our charts, we also incorporate symbols. I was a cross stitcher before I was a crocheter, so that was just a natural thing for me to add symbols. It makes it easier if you're printing in black and white to save color ink. Then each pixel has a symbol and you don't have to worry about the color. If you haven't tried it, there's a great app called UDoodle. It's available on Android and Apple. And Michaeline, I will link to her video. She did an instructional video for that. That's really helpful. So that's a good way. If you don't want to have to print, you can just mark it off on your app and save your progress. So for the sake of this chart, if we look at our legend, this first pixel right here is the little V. So anything with a V is white, anything with this symbol is pink, and anything with this symbol here is amethyst. So we would start in our corner, and this first pixel would be white. This row, you're going to alternate rows, and that basically makes it go back and forth so that your picture, the front, still stays the front. So this row, we went, hypothetically, we went this way. So for our next row, we would be coming down, and we would do 2 white pixels. For row 3, we would go up. So we would do a white, an amethyst, a white. We would get to our end and start row 4. We would do white, amethyst, amethyst, white. And you're going to keep doing that. When you get to the end corner, that's when you stop increasing. So on this next pixel, you're going to go up without increasing. When you get to the left side, or whatever your opposite corner is of where you started. If we started up here, it would be over here. If we started here, it would be over here. When you get to your opposite corner, that's when you stop increasing and you start going up to create your shape. So this, at its widest point, was 9 pixels. Your next row, when you go up, is only going to have 8, and then it's 7, 6, all the way till you get to 1, and that's going to complete your shape, whatever shape that may be. We received numerous questions about hook size and what size hook you should use for your project. The hook size is really determined by your tension. If you crochet tight, you're probably going to want to use a larger hook size than if you crochet loose. What happens is if you crochet too loose and you're doing a picture, those lines are going to get messy. They're not going to be crisp. So you're going to want to go down a hook size and tighten those up. On here, the pixels have definite straight lines, and that's what you want. You don't want it to be messy because then you won't be able to see the picture that you're working so hard to create. Something else to consider is that if you crochet tight, your work will become very stiff. So if this was too thick, it becomes more of a tapestry. This one is pretty thick. It doesn't have a lot of bend in it. And when you're making a blanket, you want it to have more flexibility and more bend to be more blanket-like. This one to me is more tapestry-like than it is blanket-like. So if your hook is too loose, you're going to be messy and not have crisp lines. So you're going to want to go down a hook size. And if your hook is too small, then your work is going to be tight and it's going to create more of a stiff product. So you may want to go up a hook size. Probably the best thing to do is to try a swatch of C2C and see how it turns out. If it's super stiff, then you're going to want to go up a hook size. And if it's super loose to where you think that a picture and creating a pixel graph would look too messy, then you're going to want to go down a hook size. Everyone's different. I know for me personally, I love the H hook. That keeps, I am a tight crocheter, however that keeps my work the perfect consistency. It's not too thick, it's not too thin or too wobbly, and my lines are still crisp. We received numerous questions on the difference between crocheting a square piece of work versus a rectangle piece of work. So I have a square chart here. This one is 9 pixels across and 9 pixels high. And then I have a rectangle here. It's again 9 pixels across, but this one is 11 pixels high to give it a rectangle shape. And I so wish that I had like this magical aha glitter magic wand thing to tell you that I have the secret. But the secret is there's no secret, friends. They're done exactly the same way. On the square or any C2C, we start in our corner, whatever corner we pick. I've always learned in this corner. So I would start here. I would go all the way across until I got to here, increasing as I go. Once I get to this corner, my next row, I stop increasing and go all the way up. Without increases, 9 rows up. That's going to pull it in and give it the square. On a rectangle, I'm still going to go across my 9 pixels. When I get here, I'm going to stop increasing. The only difference is instead of going 9 rows up without increasing, I'm going up 11. And that's going to pull it up taller and to make it a rectangle. That's it. That's all there is to it. I wish I had glitter and magic, but it's really that simple. It's almost not even worth my video, but I know that it confuses people and I wanted to explain it as easy as I can. So again, you're going to start, whether it's a square or rectangle, you're going to pick your little pixel, whichever one you want. You're going to go across, whether it's 9 pixels or 1,000 pixels, it doesn't matter. And then once you get to this square, whether this or this pixel, whether this pixel is on a square or a rectangle, this is where you stop increasing and you just go up as far as your chart shows you. I wanted to show you, a lot of people ask the difference between mini corner to corner and regular C2C. And the regular is done with double crochets and the mini is done with half double crochets. Still the same concept. You can still use the same chart on this, whether I'm doing regular or mini. I'm still starting in a corner, going to my widest point, and then decreasing across the rest to give it the shape that I want. That can be done in regular or mini. The end result is just going to be a different size because the half double crochet is naturally a smaller stitch than the double crochet. So if you put this into a project, my heart here is done in regular C2C, so those are double crochets, and my stethoscope from our Grey's Anatomy project was done in mini, so these are half double crochets. If you were to put the pixels together, let me try and bring this closer if I can. If you put the pixels together to analyze the difference, this right here is 1 pixel of double crochet versus this is 1 pixel right here of half double crochets. So it is a smaller pixel. And that's really the only difference. So when I have a big project, like our Grey's Anatomy blanket, our dollhouse project, our upcoming city playmat, when it's a big project like that, I will opt for mini C2C. If I was to do it all in the larger regular C2C, it would be as big as my house. So in order to rein that in and be able to create more graphs more panels to my project, then I opt for mini C2C if it's a large project. This heart right here was a smaller graph also. It's only 15 pixels across versus my Grey's Anatomy 25 across. So because this had less pixels, using regular corner to corner was the better way to go. I wanted to spend some time talking about bobbins. We receive a lot of message about bobbins. People either love them or they hate them or they're afraid of them. And really, bobbins are our friend. They make it so that we don't have to cut every color change. I think once you experiment and find a method that works for you, bobbins are our friend. They make this a whole lot easier in the end when we're finishing our product. There's far less ends to weave in. So I just wanted to show you a couple different methods. When I was first learning C2C, I taught myself color changes on this heart graph. It was 2 colors. It was good practice on going from the purple to the white. I actually made several of them in different colors. So I used this method here from One Dog Woof. Whoops. And she has a great tutorial on her website. I'll be sure and link that for you. So the idea with this is you have a different color, essentially a bobbin on the dowel rod, and you work your row across, and then when you're done, you flip it, and then you go back the other way, and life is good. So when this was only 2 colors for me, this was magic. I loved it. But once I moved on to a different, more complicated project, I did Chaos and Chop Suey's Friends blanket, and then like our Grey's Anatomy blanket. There's far more color changes in these panels, and the dowel method didn't work for me. I felt I spent most of my time untangling my work, and that was frustrating for me. I have since moved on to the clips that you get at the dollar store. They come 6 in a pack, and the idea behind these is you wind your yarn around them. Usually it's 1 color per clip, and then these are ones that I have attached to a basket. These are ones that have been clipped off of my project, and I save them until the end to make sure I don't need them. So while I'm using these clips, they are all laid out on the table like this. I will complete my row, leaving them out and untangled, and then when that row is done, I actually clip them onto my work and flip it. After it's flipped, then I will take them all off and put them on the table in order and finish the next row. And then again, I clip and unclip. So I go back and forth like that. I find that's easy and simple for me not to get them tangled. Once they're tangled, this is no longer fun, and then nobody likes C2C. Clipping them to the work isn't the only method though. Michaeline uses her PVC stand that she built. We do have a tutorial on our website on how to build one of those. I'll provide a link for you so you can see that if you haven't already. So you really just have to play with it and see what works for you, what makes it easy for you, and what makes it fun. Bobbins and the color changes can really steal the joy out of C2C, so I think it's worth it for you to take the time and experiment. I know that Christy Diaz in our group, and there's a couple others, they, instead of clipping it to the work like I do, they clip it to a vertical blind, or I've heard people clipping them to a yardstick, and then it keeps it all entangled and out on the table. But don't be afraid, bobbins are your friend. Okay, that's all I have for this video. I'm kind of running out of daylight here. I covered most of the basic things that I could think of with C2C. If you have any other questions, you can put them in the comments below, or you can post them in our group. If you search poll in the 3M Grace Designs community on Facebook, you can always add your suggestions there. Michaeline and I are always a private message or email away. We're happy to help you, and hopefully we'll get some more instructional videos as far as the process itself, and how to actually work a graph with the yarn. So we'll see you next time. Have a great day.